budget. At that point, if no one speaks, we will call the hearing to a close. So is there anyone who would like to speak on the capital budget of the city budget for 2026? And again, if there is anyone to speak on the capital budget for the city budget of 2026, and a third time, if there is anyone who would like to speak on the capital budget of the city budget for 2026. Okay, hearing none. Motion to adjourn. Council Mayor, second period, Council Newton. We are adjourned.
This evening at 6:32. My name is Scott Burns. I am co-chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee. I will have our committee members identify themselves first, and then other council reps, and then we'll have members of the city then identify themselves. Tonight we have the registrars and voters, town clerk, city clerk, and MIRA. So, council.
I'm Ernie Newton, co-chair of the budget, 139th District.
Fred Hodges, Budget Committee Member, 136.
Richard Ortiz, 135th Committee Member.
Jeanette Herring, 133rd Committee Member.
MIRA Lee, 135th Committee Member.
Alright, and
Anita Martinez, 139th.
Denise Telemoy, 131.
Maria Valley, 137th.
Dasha Sprout, 132nd.
I think that case to all the council people that come.
so let's start with our OPM director.
Frank McGarry, OPM. And Plato Finance.
Christina Resto, Assistant Town Clerk.
Charlie Stallworth, Town Clerk.
Lidia Martinez, City Clerk.
Kathleen Brickett, OPM.
Niall Hassan Jones, MIRA.
Oh, Tashira Jackson, Myra. I'm through the things, I don't see.
Tom Gaudette, Chief Administrative Officer.
Patricia Howard, Democratic Registrar.
Grace for the registrar of voters.
Okay, you wanna? A word?
Yeah, let me, I know it's a lot of people, I always say this, we're gonna try to keep this to numbers. That's why people here talk about your budget, you talk about numbers and staff. And any council member has something to deal with the register of voters, or you can get a card or whatever, please do that after the meeting, or call her outside and talk to her. Because we want to stay focused on money issues. And that's what the budget is here to do. So we wanna be patient, but let's stick to that, okay? And we'll move on real fast.
Okay, thank you. So we'll start with the registrars and voters. I have a few copies here of their presentation. I don't know if all the committee members got these?
Yep.
Okay.
I think we put one in front of you.
We gave you a different one.
Yeah, they
You
gave
guys
you
got a
a
different
different
one.
one.
We put,
That's
I
yours
put it
right
on
there.
top of your book, Scott.
Yeah.
That's yours.
No,
That-
yeah,
hers
that's,
right there.
you have a different one, yeah.
Yeah, both of you.
Yeah, pass that down.
Yeah,
This yours,
you-
Ernie's desktop.
Chair has
Y'all got a different one.
Yeah,
Pass
exactly
pass
what we
this
have.
down,
The rest is
pass
just for
that
the
down,
committee.
yeah.
Okay,
You got a
all
different
right,
one,
very good.
This is yours.
yeah.
Okay, so the charter
That is
revision,
it, that's what she gave us.
charter revision,
Uh-uh.
that's charter revision.
What you gave us, Ian?
But it-
Wasn't this what you gave us for
About
Scott
charter?
and Ernie?
We did that.
No, that's for
We presented
him.
that.
Oh, that's just for.
Yeah, we'll explain it.
Okay.
We'll explain why we did
All right,
it.
so I do.
Okay, so when you get a chance, if you could email it to us, we'll make sure
So we'll
everybody
have
can get
it
it.
being,
Thank you.
Are we gonna exhibit this?
We are
yeah,
gonna
we
do,
are.
you wanna go ahead?
Okay, I'll exhibit registrar voters budget presentation 04172025A.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Councilman Newton, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
7-3.
Seven.
Okay.
Okay. So, maybe we'll just have Frank kind of walk us through what's in the book a little bit, and then we'll have the department speak and answer any questions, so.
78.
Registrar of voters, what did you say?
78.
77, 78,
78 where the.
77 is where it starts.
77.
77 is where it starts.
And then
Oh,
it's
yeah.
78. Right there.
All right.
No, 78.
Okay. Good.
This, not much here. The notable increase that I think the registrar of voters is gonna speak to that is the $32,200 increase in operational expenses. That's related to election equipment, that, like I said, I'm sure they'll speak to you about. Remainder of the personnel stuff are all, contractual, so I don't have anything else to add to that.
Okay. Any questions then for Frank at this point? On this specifically?
Yeah, this is on the budget here, on their fringe benefits and stuff, right? That's what we're talking about?
Yep, go ahead.
Make everybody aware, you know that the Registrar of Voters Office has taken on some new responsibilities. They have the, what do you call it, all-day voting or? what do you
Early
call it?
voting
Early
and same-day
voting
registration.
And same-day registration. And that's a lot of work, a lot of time, so let's be mindful of that. Because it's a state law, it's not a city law, it's a state law, so we have to do it. And so we gotta think about it. They gotta get people, they gotta do a lot of things, and they're taking on more responsibility. Am I correct? Register voters?
Yes, you're absolutely right.
That because of the new laws that are passed
Yes.
on the state, it comes down to municipalities.
Yes.
You have more responsibility.
We, yeah.
With early voting and.
Last year, we got a small amount of money from the state. This year, there's no more money from the state coming in. So,
Okay. So how about we do this? There's no specifics within the budget that, we've gotten from Frank. Lynn and Pat, do you wanna just kinda work through the presentation you have, or how do you want, or do you want us just to ask you questions? What's best, most effective?
basically, basically, the two increases predominant, as it's been said, is our seasonal help because of the requirement for more staffing. And we always overblow that budget because we have to. We're mandated to do all these positions. Early voting, unless the legislature changes it, it's 12 days. 14 days, I'm sorry.
14 is.
And that's whether people show up or not, but we have to staff it. Early voting, same-day registration, we're mandated by law to do all these things. There is a letter in this packet that the Secretary of State sent to all mayors across the state, stating that there is no money coming from the state. So it's passed down, the voters wanted it, it's gotta get paid for it, that's what we have now.
Did you, cause I haven't read everything that's in your, what did you all ask for? Because you knew this was coming down, more money in your budget, did you include that in what you're recommending?
Yeah. Yes, we did.
And what is that total now that you're recommending?
The total, yeah, we have a little bit, basically, that's our basic increases. I think it was $85, a little discrepancy. The other thing that we asked to increase is for the, and the same thing is for the equipment, because I think you all know, and may or may not all know, we're getting new tabulators this year. But along with the new tabulators comes increased maintenance fees. And we have to pay those every year. And then we're getting one of the 920s, which will be able to do the absentees allegedly quickly, but the maintenance fee is over $6,000 a year. As well as we have, as you know, we have 22 to 24 precincts, 2 machines in every precinct, and each one, it's in the booklet here, how much they're charging us for those increases, and they have to be maintained every year. And we have to improve them. I think we're getting like 60 of the new machines, because we have to cover AB room, SDR room, all these other rooms that have to do tabulating, as long as the, along with the polling places, the backup machines, and the 1920. And the numbers are in here, and you can see, just gotta find the right page. It's, oh, yeah, the regular 300s, 315 apiece. A year, the 950, which we're getting one, is 6,500. That's gonna be a yearly increase. We have to maintain, all of a sudden, programming is more expensive than how it just used to be, but it's a better process. Hopefully, it's gonna create a quicker, more seamless procedure for tallying the votes. Is a lot. We are going to training for these new tabulators. Then we have to train our moderators, we're gonna be bringing them in for training, and down the road. So there's a lot going on this coming up year, and it's all manpower and mandated costs from the state. And I don't think we put much of anything in there beyond what we're gonna be doing. I think we're gonna have 54 machines.
Yeah. Councilwoman Herron has a question.
Frank, what's the increase that they need? So we know that number, because, you know, going through this.
I think we estimated that at
So-
32,000.
So for the machines, they propose 32,200.
And 100,000 for
The 100,000 wasn't included in, so that's something that, you know, we can take today. That wasn't included in the munis request. But we can take that into consideration today. This is a process for sorting those things out. But that, the 100,000 wasn't included in the initial budget request.
There's another services.
Councilwoman Herron's got a question.
The 100,000, and what would that entail, because it's not up in the budget line, so we know what we're.
That's basically for our seasonal workers, for manning the poll workers, and early voting, and SMD registration. You know, last year, of course, was a presidential. We blew the budget. We had to. Hopefully, this year's gonna be a much lower turnout. It may not be as many. We still have to man it by law, but we don't think we'll have to man it as extensively. You know, we have minimum standards, and then we have what we need to do. So,
But if I truly believe that, the poll workers are paid out of the seasonal, part-time seasonal temp, they're all in one budget.
Yes,
So that's where the big interest is, that's where we're basically asking for a lot more money, because we have to pay the poll workers. And the seasonal temps come on board, we get 2 seasonal temps, per seasonal. So we get a January to, May, and then a July to the December seasonal temps. So the one from July to December are actually working in the, elections.
You're mentioning two, it says there's 250,000 for your part-time season.
Hold on, Tom.
Right.
All right, so, what we have for the request in the budget, what we presented to the council is 250,000. Year before was 477, year before that 238. So, and I don't have this year's expenditure in front of me. Can you, Pat or Linda, could you explain a little more like what those seasonals do, particularly say January to May?
they help us with data entry. Like right now, we're in the process of doing our annual canvas. And, you know, we only have 6 full-time members in our staff, so we could never keep up with all our daily work and do that, and the pulling of cards and filing and all that. So they assist us with that, in that process, and then once they're done, the next team comes in, they'll help us with pulling out the cards for the responses from the candidates, from the canvas, people that have moved out, people that have died. There's a constant process to keep our files accurate and our filing system accurate. And it's really a lot of work, because as you all know, Bridgeport is somewhat transitional. You know, we have a certain turnover of population, and we have to try and keep up with it. We're mandated by law to try and keep our list, our ad list as accurate as possible. So it's a constant canvassing, following up, phone calling, contacting voters, checking out if we get told somebody's deceased, we have to verify it, and go down the, it's a lot goes on every day in our office to keep our list as accurate as possible per our mandate by the state.
Yeah,
Councilman Newton.
so I'm looking at, your breakdown of this budget and supplies and things that I see a 250,000. Then next to it, the difference is 100,000. You asked for 67, they gave you 30. I guess the difference is 32,000. So actually, you're really asking the city council, could we upgrade your, to 132,200, is that correct?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I'll let you look at this. It shows the difference.
Yeah, the season,
So,
yeah.
Tom, maybe you can help me out because,
I'm gonna translate because I think there's a difference between what, Frank has in the book and what they're showing you on the
Okay.
paper. That's why I'm trying to bridge the gap here.
Yeah.
You have a request for $100,000 on your sheet, and Frank doesn't have that in the budget book, so I think that's where you're losing
Okay.
people.
So, you're right. So what was presented to us is to show the department requested $350 for part-time seasonal pay, and the mayor's submission of $250. So that's, difference between the department asking and what the mayor's proposed to us.
Because even way back to these seasonals, every year, got the minimum wage goes up, every year we have to up what we pay them. So it's constantly a growing thing, the volume, the number.
Okay.
all right.
You all set?
One second.
Councilman Spell?
Out of curiosity, how many seasonals do y'all hire in those rotations or bring forward?
Is she talking about the ones in the office?
The ones that you hire for the
Yeah, office.
the election staff?
You talk about people who work the polls, including them,
Yes.
at 250 to 300, right? We hire for.
Come on, I don't know, I think she's speaking about in our office that works for us on a seasonal basis.
That would be like.
We have 4 seasonal temps that works for us there, so 2 work January to May. And then the other 2 works from July to, December. But that also includes our 2 technicians, so that's a total of 6 people. And during the summer, we have a shortfall, we have 2 other people that come in, just like for the summer help, and we hire them, that's what Joey and yeah, so it's a total of 8.
Okay.
Yeah,
8 seasons.
in the office. I wasn't sure she was asking for.
No, our poll workers is of them, 250 to 300 per election, if it's a citywide.
I got it real quick. Can I ask why you guys did put the 100,000 on requested for Frank?
We had it here.
Yeah, I know, this is
Yeah, I don't
yours,
know. I
but
don't
it's
have
not
that.
on here, and, that request should have been here, so we could have seen it.
Right.
I'm just saying, because you have to get the money regardless, so it's unfortunate, but I would have liked to see it on book, because then we would have any confusion.
I'm not sure why that's not been, I'm why that occurred.
Scott,
Yeah, Reverend Lee, go ahead.
thank you. At the beginning of your presentation, the scanner tabulator, is this something new or is it gonna be, is it the old one that we are using already?
No, nothing's old, what you have in that booklet is new, all new machines. We get a 950, a 450, a 950 machine, which is the biggest one, that's gonna take care of our ABs. We have another machine coming in that's a 450, that's gonna take care of our ABs, our early voting and our same-day registration. And then the 300s go to the schools. So it's 3 different tabulators.
Okay, yeah, well,
Was that your concern? No,
Yeah.
we don't have anything, all those tabulators are going out.
State's
oh,
picking them all up.
Yep.
I'm so happy about that, I don't know what to do with myself. Simply because I never could and I hope that, well, probably because it's new, they won't be doing that old stuff, because I never could understand, if we are voting, and when we get that little slip, it might say, let me see, Republican, so many, and it have on there that so many people probably went to the poll and didn't vote, or whatever the case might be. I never could understand why would 200 or 300 people go to the poll and don't even vote. You know, I had that situation one time, and it just befooled me that what you call that little slip that it says that nobody voted really.
You talking about the blank votes?
Yeah,
Saying that?
yeah.
Well, this machine here is so high tech here, guys. It could tell you who voted for you if you was a write-in candidate. It'll tell you who the write-in candidate was for. So if you say Mary Lee McBride, and you're on the line for a write-in, and they write your name in and they circle it. The machine, we can print out a slip that'll say all the write-ins that we got. It'll send us a copy of all the write-ins at the end of it.
Much more details.
It's very
And the
detailed.
voter is gonna be able to actually see what they're doing prior to casting their vote. So it's not.
I guess that's somewhat.
So we are gonna open up a day, we're gonna try to put together a day to come in, for you guys to come in and see how it worked before we get it started. But we gotta wait for them to send them to us, and that's what we're waiting on right now. We've referred them to have sent to us already, but the other places have, elections right now, and we're on the list of probably May, the end of May, beginning of June.
Well, I for one am glad that we get a new machine, because the other one just wasn't working as far as I'm concerned.
It was a lot. They were so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
One last question. You referenced state money coming previously. Can you share how much that was and what it went to? Or I guess Mr.
We got
Frank?
10,000 during the presidential primary, and we got what, 33 or
33.
33.
About
33,000
30,000.
in the general election. That was it,
For the fall?
for the general.
And
But this
what was the
year is
intent
nothing.
behind that, if I may?
And that didn't even cover our added staff.
What was it intended for? Was it machines, labor?
Early voting.
The early voting.
Early voting.
Seasonal.
To support
To
seasonal?
support the implementation of early voting.
Okay.
To be specific.
All right. Okay, I'm good. Anybody else? All right.
And Jordan, we gave you this copy of the charter request. If any of you were there that night and heard the presentation we made that afternoon, but it's just kind of your knowledge. It's kind of a chronological story of how the registrar of voters' jobs and duties have increased over the last decade. So that's what leads to us needing more staffing, more training, et cetera, et cetera. It's just more informational to you. You're also gonna be voting on it someday for the council too. So that's why we gave it to the chair people, and they can distribute it.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thanks very much.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right, Town clerk?
Town clerk, city
Alright.
clerk.
Town clerk, come forward.
Town clerk.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you guys for the opportunity.
Thank you.
All right, I'm good one.
So we can see.
Maybe that'll be the table of honor. Table of honor. Well, yeah, actually, I mean,
Yeah.
Christine, draft it.
That's what they should
Are you city representatives or city employees?
They're my
Yes.
Okay, can they sit here with the microphone, because they're
Yes.
department heads. Should just change seats
Oh, I'm
for
the
now.
department head.
You can sit.
I can wait. Okay, they can wait. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't mind that one?
No, they gotta tell me that.
Page 130.
Should what?
I ain't going there. Should've cooked us some food.
Oh,
Don't worry about that, I ain't going there.
you didn't go there. Okay, I love you too much for that. Tell you no cooking.
Yeah, page 130 for,
Okay.
You ready?
town clerk.
All right. Thank you. First of all, just
Yeah, so,
No,
yeah,
man.
introduce yourselves, and then we'll let Frank just talk a little bit about the book, and then we'll come back to you about that.
sounds great to me. Charlie Stallworth, town clerk.
Christina Resto, Assistant Town Clerk.
All right, Frank, just the book, you wanna?
Yeah, sure. So starting from the top of page 130, there's some revenues there. You can see a notable increase to conveyance tax assignment. That's a $230,000 increase, and that's really just to recognize higher actuals and trends. The remainder changes in the revenue lines are really just true-ups to whatever the 3-year or 5-year average was, depending on what date I thought was more applicable. No changes for staff besides the contractual increases. There was a decrease to computer services of about 60,000. If you looked at the actuals, they were just pretty close to zero in prior years, but we do expect that number to climb. It was kind of an anomaly for the past couple of years, so that's why we reduced it to 160,000. So that's why you see operational expenses being reduced by about 60,000. But other than that, that's all that I have.
Question, so the personnel summary, yeah, tell me if I'm reading this wrong, but, it says mayor proposes 567 compared to 496, and it says that's a $15,000 difference.
Where are you seeing it?
Under appropriation summary, page 130, in the middle.
133.
Yeah, so the personnel summaries, that's just the decrease in personnel, though.
Oh,
Well,
in
it's
terms
not a
of-
decrease.
this
it's
year,
an
okay,
increase.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the negatives are an increase, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So versus the 25, actually.
Yeah, versus 25. Okay, never mind, sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
But then, related, it says seasonal employees, all right, that's staying the same. Okay, never mind, that's fine. All right, I'm good, thank you. All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and thank you for what you do. These meetings almost brought back a little shock from the state, so hey, it's good to be here. But Christine is here, our assistant, who's going to crunch some numbers for you.
How are you?
How you doing?
Good, good. I think it was pretty straightforward in the presentation I sent out.
Bring copies of them.
No, I thought, because I emailed
You
them
look for a
that you would
PowerPoint on
print
the
it.
board that you're going to.
You want to grab this? I don't need to look at it if you want
I
to.
did email it to everybody.
Oh,
But if she does it, she's gonna have to make it part of, you're gonna have to make it part of the record.
Yeah. Yeah,
So we'll just borrow this,
you can take
borrow
it.
your copy, and then we'll,
You have just
exhibit it.
Yes, but you
Work
can,
from that. and
okay.
then We'll sort it out from there.
No
We'll
problem.
exhibit it first, and
Okay.
then I'll give it back to you.
Okay.
Jeanette?
You have yours that I gave you?
Something like that.
We're gonna try to forward the email to them so we can put it up on the screen, okay? But we still
Okay.
gotta exhibit it,
No
all right?
problem.
She emailed me.
I might have sent it just to committee.
And all the weather. Trying to get back on my feet.
Oh, okay.
you want me to exhibit this now while I show you?
Yes,
Yeah, let's
please do
exhibit
that.
it first before we start talking.
Okay, this is town clerk's office, it says, it's their presentation. I will exhibit it as 04172025B.
I move that.
Second. Second from Councilman Ortiz, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Looks like Frank's gonna be able to.
So it looks like Frank gonna be able to
Thank you.
pull your copy down. Thank you.
Yeah.
Scott, you forwarded it to me?
I just did, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, do you wanna start on it anyhow?
Yeah, whatever you want, you tell me.
Well, he's gonna pull it up and then you can start talking.
I don't know how soon that'll come off.
Yeah, I think she could start and then
Okay.
it's just making sure it's not a virus.
Okay.
You make sure we're not a virus, or you make sure the program's not a virus?
All right, go ahead.
You want me to get to the point? Basically, or I provided the organizational chart as you requested with the employees, and that will be demonstrated when he brings it up, of the employees in the department. Basically, in our budget, there were only 2 line items that we asked for increases. One of them was for television services. Basically, the reason for that, obviously, is because the cost of the services has increased, and that budget line is not enough to cover the cost for the monthly fee that's due. And that's internet services for our land records. We have internet services that goes to our server that controls everything that has to do with the land records. Also, for membership and registration fees, we asked for an increase. Also, to cover the cost of continuing education for the town clerk and the 2 assistants, and the conferences that we go to twice a year, spring and fall, and memberships associated with Fairfield County and the Connecticut Town Clerks Association. So those are the only 2 line items that we basically asked for increases, and the increases are shown on the screen here, from $1,000 to $3,400 to cover the television service fee. And membership, we asked for more to cover the cost for the 3 of us, the town clerk, the 2 assistants for continuing education. Then the next slide, basically, you wanted to know about grants. We applied for one of the historical preservation grants through the state library. That is actually, that can come to the town clerk's office for preservation of our land records. Usually it's $10,000 for the large municipalities, and we fall under that. So we already applied with Central Grants for Cycle 1. The application was submitted, and we do have confirmation from State Library that they did receive it. And then we'll soon find out if we were awarded the grant, and if the contract is signed, then we can move forward with what we plan on doing. And then we plan on applying, obviously, for Cycle 2. Avenue is the company that we use for our land records. I put a little bit of information about that. That's basically our highest line item, in case anyone wanted to know what Avenue Insights Analytics is. That's our land record company. And a little definition of what they do for us and what we do on our side as well that pertains to the land records. And then the last page are the service indicators that we submit for our budget. And basically our service indicators, and just in case anyone wanted to see, the numbers are pulled directly from our Avenue report that shows what comes in. It's based on document fees, and the documents that come into our office are broken down into different fees that actually go to the state of Connecticut. So we're basically like a collection agency that in turn submits the money to the state for the different areas that we need to submit the money to the state for. Any questions?
That's it.
That's it?
Any questions? Well, right, go ahead.
Christina, I heard you mention and that you guys requested an increase for 3 of your staff members? Did I hear that correctly?
No, increase for continuing education.
Oh, okay.
There's part of the,
Oh.
there's part of the discussion that both clerks, town clerk and city clerk, I'm not sure if you have that documentation in front of you. The pay scale is for behind based on hourly wages if you look at other departments and other employees. I have great workers in my departments, but some of them hourly make more than the town clerk himself. So I've been in conversation with the mayor's office and trying to see if some of that could be rectified in order to be equitable and fair. So that those are numbers, if you don't have them, we should get those to you very fast.
Two questions. So Christina, you mentioned the television services, but that's really like an internet?
That's
charge
internet
back
services. Yeah, I called it television services because
Right.
that's what they call it in our budget.
then? Okay,
So that's that line item.
so just to think aloud here, Frank, maybe that's something we can change going forward on that code number? Just to get up to speed, because otherwise, you know.
Okay, no problem.
Then that's, just that. The other question, a little related to the registrars, you have some seasonals here?
That's for elections.
What do they do?
Usually when they come in, they only come in if we need them. If it's very busy, depending on absentee ballots and the volume of work that we have for election or primary, depending on the type of election or primary that we're having. So we have a primary happening this year and an election. So,
Okay. All right, good.
Scott,
Yeah, go ahead.
thank you. When you were talking about continuing education for the workers, exactly what do that mean?
so continue.
I know what it means in my field, so.
No, it's okay. So the Town Clerks Association has classes that can be taken by the town clerk, the assistant town clerks, and it actually goes through the actual manual of the town clerk. They give different classes at Central Connecticut State University, and once you take those classes, you get a certificate. I believe there's a module of 5 classes. Once you take the 5 classes, then you can actually take a test to become a certified town clerk. So that's part of the continuing education, and then there's also education when you go to the 2 conferences yearly. During those conferences, there's education from all the state agencies that provide feedback about legislative changes in that year and other things of that nature.
So everybody that's in your department can take those classes and.
I believe it's
only
the town clerk and the assistant, but I can double check with the committee and see if there's changes on that. Yes.
My last question is, I think I have 2. My last question is, I notice, I get, when I look at the dogs, a license for the dog, do that mean that every little dog in the city have to be licensed in order to be, I see, for the dog license?
Well, the law is that everyone that has a dog in the city of Bridgeport should have a dog license, but the number doesn't reflect probably all the dogs that are out there that are not licensed.
So
But
if you
they should
have
be
one that's
licensed.
not licensed, don't let the dog bite anybody.
I remember you have a dog.
I don't have a dog anymore. Just for the record.
I just would like to say that I'm very impressed with the town clerk's office, and Christina, you're a sweetheart, and I really appreciate the professionalism that you portray when someone comes in that office. I don't feel like you have a respected person, as my mom say. So, thank you for a great job.
Amen.
And you too, Dr. Stone.
I appreciate you. Sitting next to you is an honor, Reverend Lee, all the time.
You got a question?
Yeah, Dr. Starr, you mentioned about town clerk and city clerk on bringing y'all up in the pay. I looked at the list, someone sent me a list of all the town clerks and what they get paid. As I looked at those salaries, most of them are full-time. I didn't see, I don't know, I would think if you're making $100,000 a year, it's a full-time position. And ever since I can remember the history of Bridgeport, it's always been part-time. Is there a clause in there for them to get a cost of living increase, Tom?
You
I
address
don't
this
know.
issue? Yeah, so that's actually not correct that they're part-time. That's actually a surprise to a lot of people. They're paid 32.5 hours a week. Where does that number come from? I have no idea. I'll ask you, Ernie, because you've been around a long time.
I don't know
That's,
where it
that's like a
came from.
long ago,
It was.
thing. That's how those positions were set up. So the issue here actually isn't part-time versus full-time, it's actually just hourly rate. These elected officials, like mayor and all unaffiliated employees that don't follow collective bargaining agreement, are in the unaffiliated table, and you'll find them at the very bottom of the table. And they just get the same increases as a percent that the supervisors get. So they're getting contractual increases, but their hourly rate is actually about half of what their assistance is at the current time. So if you wanted to address what Dr. Stallworth was saying, the council would have to appropriate more money for those two positions, and you would have to change the unaffiliated ordinance to change the amount of money that they are allowed to make. And effectively, you wouldn't change their hours, it wouldn't be a part-time versus full-time, you would just be increasing their pay per hour, which again is about half of what the assistants are getting per hour.
Okay.
All this factual, I'm not weighing out, I'm just saying those are the facts.
So it doesn't, so let me ask them, since you all are in the, all of the town clerks and the city clerks in it, but I know the unaffiliated people that are working.
They're unaffiliated too as a result
So
of their elected
They're
status.
not connected to the unions.
They are. They are in the sense that they, like all unaffiliated employees, get the same COLA, cost of living increases that the supervisors get. So for example, this July, the supervisors will get 3%. They, as you can see in the budget, next to those positions, they will get 3%. You can see that reflected in the budget. But the issue is that they already are starting very low. As I said, in the unaffiliated table, they're at the bottom of that table. And it's just following wherever historic, some people decades ago made that decision, and they've just been chugging along, whatever supervisors get, they get, that's all. So it's not like this council decided that, or this city decided that recently, you know?
No, it's like that, as long as I can remember. Okay, all right.
I'm gonna ask one revenue question, which I know I've asked in the past, at least to you now. And it's the big number in your budget, the conveyance tax.
Scott, Chair, maybe I could,
You wanna?
I was gonna
Sure.
raise my hand.
Sure.
So conveyance tax is really, you know, they're a collector, right? The conveyance tax is totally an economic sensitive revenue. Nothing to do with what they're doing in the office, or it has to do with real estate sales and the prices of real estate. Since COVID, this line has grown significantly because both the prices have gone up of each real estate sale and the number of sales. I personally am very worried about this because I can tell you my first few years here, this number was half what it was this year and last year. So if there's a recession and real estate sales slow, this revenue would probably be short. Frank and I chatted about the increase, and I think I'm supportive of the increase, being that they're gonna collect more this year than the budget line that we're projecting next year. I think this year's gonna probably be 300,000 or 400,000 more than what Frank's projecting for next year. But I'm just cautious because I wouldn't raise it any higher because real estate, you know, it's been hot 3 or 4 years, just like, you know, the stock market, now the stock market's going down. You just don't know when real estate's gonna turn.
So, I'm gonna go and ask the department member though. And I don't know, maybe you get the same data, but I'll ask her, cause she's here. Are you seeing any number changes in terms of how many sales are happening? And do you have any sense of, you know, median sales or anything like that that would give us a sense about what's going on?
Basically, the report, like Ken was saying, the numbers that are there are basically the amounts collected for every sale, transaction, deed, and obviously the percentage that is charged for that amount is governed by the state. The city conveyance is the 0.5%, and the state is the 0.75%.
Right.
So, the amount of sales, as he said, the prices are higher. Obviously, the properties are, they're going for more money. If there's large sales, that's more conveyance, but as far as gauging if it's gonna continue or the flow, I can just basically print out reports to show you what we've collected so far.
Okay, sounds good. And then maybe more for you, Ken. We have reval will be done by the fall, right? Do you have any sense how that might, I mean, again, crystal ball, who knows, there's so much going on, but, based on the previous revals, do you remember any
So
impact?
I don't recall that the sales, selling the real estate spurt because of reval, and I've seen it in other towns as well, but I don't think there's that much correlation about the rate of real estate sales. It's more economically driven.
Yeah.
The reval is really more impactful on the mill rate than, than the conveyance tax or other things, like building fees and things like that.
Okay, let me just ask him, I would have to believe with all the people that have come in and bought these properties from all over the country, with new development going on, that brings the prices up on properties. You put something new there, it makes your property a little more expensive. And I have to believe, from what I've seen, in this market, when COVID was here and people coming and buying stuff, a lot of people bought a lot of properties here. And if you go to any neighborhood, 5 years ago, it was appraised at a very low rate. If you go there today, the rates are going up. So I don't know, what crystal ball are you looking at? But I know in the neighborhood that I live in, the market values for those properties have definitely gone up.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
Chair,
so that
absolutely.
means
I
we will
agree.
get more revenue.
But what I was trying to say though is the pace of sales was much higher because of people moving in, the inflow, COVID, the rest of it. Normally, the pace of sales historically is a roller coaster, that's all. So I can't guarantee you that the next 2 years will be as strong as the last 2 years, that's all I was trying to say.
But the point I'm making is this. If the property values 5 years ago, when it was at its low peak, was down here, and you were paying less on your property. Right now, you look it up, property values in the city of Bridgeport are going sky high.
Which is a good thing.
Which is a good thing.
The big picture.
And in the long run, that's more revenue that will come into the city because you gotta pay your taxes. And so it's all, you pay based on those kind of things. So, I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if
was
this
just,
number is
I
bad.
apologize, I was just trying to say, I was a little worried about the increase of 250 in this particular conveyance, but I think it's a reasonable estimate to do, it's just that we can't promise that it's gonna come in, that's all.
So when it comes in higher,
If it comes in higher, that'd be great. This year it is coming in higher,
I know it is.
and last year.
You go jail, look, man. I'm looking all around.
Frank's
I'm looking for Frank,
Good.
So I would just say with, budgeting conveyance tax revenue, right, it's tricky because like Ken said, it's very economically driven. Yes, the prices of houses have went up, but that's also because the supply has went down because less people are locked into very good interest rates that they received during COVID. And so there's a lot of factors. So I think the key to budgeting this that I found with this municipality and other municipalities is reflect the experience that we've had, but also maintain conservatism because we really don't know what's gonna happen. So that's why we wanted to reflect a little bit of the trend, but we didn't want to go full bore and then have a big revenue shortfall. So that's the methodology behind this.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank
all.
you. Thank you so much.
That Last but not least,
City clerk.
city clerk. I know.
City clerk is on 84, page 84.
That's your play.
She brought that with her to beat us up.
Yeah.
No.
She's trying to get sympathy for the.
Yeah, I told her she should put on a neck brace and a neck brace and a
I said,
wheelchair.
what if I'm embarrassed?
We're gonna bandage your head next time. We're gonna.
I don't want nobody to look me as a handicap lady yet, okay? Thank you. Let me sit over here. Go on my chair.
So, again, if you'd like to introduce yourself, city clerk, and then we'll have Frank speak a little bit on the book, see if there's any questions there, and then turn it back to you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Lydia Martinez, City Clerk for the City of Bridgeport, room 204. So, what do you want me to, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Frank can walk us
Okay,
through the
that's
book a little
good,
bit,
that's
and
good.
then if there's questions there, we can
Fine, thank
plug
you.
him, and then come back and.
Thanks very much.
Okay, Frank, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so there's really, besides personnel, there's no other increases proposed in this budget. Once again, contractual increases, but if you liked last year's budget, you're gonna love this year's budget, because there's not a lot, so. And then that's it.
Thank you.
Any questions then for Frank?
No, I think what he said is right. I know Francis usually takes care of numbers for us, and I met with her today, and yes, we have no changes, the same, we did the same budget that we did last year, which is what you just said.
Okay. Any questions?
Well, I don't have to say much because I believe that Reverend Charles Starworth mentioned the differences in paycheck for the city clerk and the town clerk. So, and I know that Tom cleared that out. So I would just appreciate very much if you could look into it and if you could help us with that situation. I think it's a situation, you know, when you look at your paycheck and you look at the other ones and it doesn't move. So, but you know, you work with me in the city council and at the city clerk's office, and we're always there for you, and we would like to continue doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Councilman Bay?
So again, I hear the word about increase between city clerk and town clerk. So what is being said is that there is a discrepancy in those two positions, and they should be getting paid the same amount of money? Did I hear that right?
No.
No, you want to explain?
No, I think Tom said it better than me. He checked into salaries, and according to what other people make, we make less hourly. Is that what you said, Tom?
Correct, yeah.
But it doesn't have to be,
Meaning who? Are those-
Maria, it doesn't have to be that, because I don't, you know, I'm representing myself, and I know Charlie's representing himself. But we have like the same situation, but it doesn't mean the same number of money, because I really, go ahead,
If I
Tom.
may. So like, you know, Maria, when you look at what's budgeted for each position, it's simply just how many hours a week do they work times their rate of pay. So when you take these two positions, town clerk and city clerk, you divide it by 52 weeks, divided by 32 and a half hours, you get to a rate of pay that's about half of what their assistants make. If that's your barometer, I mean, that's the next person down, so like, that's what I did in my head. So it's just a rate of pay issue. And again, that's dictated by the unaffiliated ordinance. We don't have any authority to give them more because the unaffiliated ordinance tells us what they make. So you'd have to do two changes if you wanted to change it. You'd have to increase, you'd have to change that ordinance and budget the money here.
Can I ask one budget
Mhm.
line item? the last one on the appropriations is other services, which this year is 34,000. Wasn't spent that much in the previous 2 years, but do you know what that's for? What those
Where
fees
is
go
that?
to? It's the last line. of the
Operational expenses?
appropriations. Yeah, other services. Cause I don't know.
I know that we do it, we have spoken about the newspapers and the money that we spend, like, for example, we have an extra, work right now with the charter revision, so I don't know if it's that is what it is. I really don't know. I should not even answer that question. We could talk to you about that Monday
Okay.
to make sure that is clear.
Okay, that's fine. Frank, you don't know, do you?
I believe it's for legal services.
Okay. All right. Okay, Reverend Lee?
Yeah, I am a little, the city clerk and the city clerk and the town clerk, they work the same amount of hours, right? Or do they,
32.
uh,
32, yeah, same thing, 32.
huh? Who am I talking to?
32 and a half. That's
Everyone make 32 and a half.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then why is it that, one department get more than the other department? I heard what you said. Now, I understand what you said. It's just that I don't understand what you said. You know, I mean, if they work the same amount of hours, they don't get the same amount of money, the department, and you know, they get the same amount.
So, if it's okay for me to ask?
Yeah.
The city clerk and the town clerk get paid the same amount.
Okay,
They do get equal pay.
all right, okay.
But I could say that if you look at the whole budget, and if you listen to what Christina and Reverend Stalwart said, they have a lot more work. And then you also have an income, that comes into your office that we don't have. So I don't know if you're talking about the whole budget or just a paycheck for the city clerk and the town clerk.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about the ones that, for an example, if you have I see here, you don't have the same people that's working in the town clerk as you do it in the city clerk as you in the town clerk.
Yeah, you're right.
Cause you have, okay, so I can understand that, it's just that I couldn't understand, but then you still have some people here, like, for an example, like the typist 3, okay, for 35 hours, I would assume in both of those
That's for
departments.
two people,
Yep, I see that, okay, so if they was, if we had a typist 3 for 35 hours for 2 people, do they make the same amount of money?
No, because I should not answer that. It should be those people that deal with pay, but it goes by steps of how many years they have worked in the city too.
Right.
It doesn't mean that how many years they work in the city clerk's office, because some of our people came from the police department and they already have steps that they follow. So the two that we have that they put together, one made more than the other one because it came from
Okay.
both came from another department before they came into the city clerk.
That
So
makes
they didn't
sense.
earn the money in there. They began long time ago.
That makes sense, Lydia. Okay, all right, yeah, that answers my question, because I was a little confused with that, so I'm not confused anymore, Scott.
Scott, you got
That might be the one great thing I did today. Frank?
I just want to amend what I said. I said that the other services were for legal services. It's for stenography.
Oh, yeah, we forgot about that. Did we have a big job and a lot of problems last year dealing with that? We still, but it's getting better. We're gonna have the TVs and everything, but it was hard for us last year to make sure that we got the services that we needed. Thank you.
Cool.
I like you.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other? Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I remember the years that I spent here, okay?
I'll bet. All right, then we would ask, Myra, Ms. Jackson to come to the table. Or does she?
Lydia.
My cane. My leg sometimes works and
173.
sometimes it doesn't, so.
Budget book, we are going to 173.
Hope it's nothing serious.
Thank you.
Can you,
prefer it that way.
Oh, he already got it. He's ahead of me.
And this, so we don't have paper copies, right? But,
So I did email them,
but I think.
and I have paper copies as well. I emailed those and I'll pass out some more.
She passed this out.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, 'cause I gave you a whole bunch.
I don't know. Did everybody get this?
I didn't get it. Denise, yeah, she get a paper.
So are you gonna speak to this?
Here's two more.
I'm just gonna do the detail is more in here, but I'll just do overview of those slides.
All right, so let's, we'll exhibit this.
And this here.
And the presentation, right. And then, we'll have you introduce yourself, and then, again, we'll have Frank kind of speak to your budget, answer any questions, and then you can speak to your budget. Yes, please.
So she's got two.
I will exhibit this proposal to the city council enhanced re-entry support through MIRA initiatives. It will be 04, I did have to have my glasses.
Okay.
172025-C.
Second, is there a second? Second from Mr. Ortiz, and all in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. And then we'll also exhibit the presentation, which we all have in our email. But we'll have to, I'll get a paper copy to the council, the clerk's office. All right, good, if you would.
You can use this, what's on the board.
Okay, FY 2026 budget proposal, that's for MIRA. Exhibit 04, 172025D.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second from Mr. Newton, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right.
All right,
So
so
just introduce yourself, and then we'll go to Frank.
Staff.
good evening, my name is Tashira Jackson. I am the appointed director for the Mayor's Initiative Reentry Affairs Program, MIRA. All right, I do live in
And
Bridgeport.
Frank, we're on 174
Introduce your staff.
budget, and
so-
then, oh yeah, you wanna do your stuff?
Yeah, so I don't really have staff. I have a contract, yes, Mr. Jones is contracted with the city of Bridgeport, am I correct? Right. So I don't have staff, but I did bring, support of my, participants from MIRA that we did, find gainful employment for both of them. We would have had more, but I don't wanna take up everybody's time about how many staff we got employed. We do have close to, I know it's over 30 that are being employed and going. So Matthew DeServo, he came to us in the summertime. He called and he could speak to, what happened when he called.
Oh, boy.
Well, Frank.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
Frank.
let Frank talk about
Yes.
his budget.
Okay.
So just on the personnel side, there is a clerical assistant position being reclassified as a data analyst position. So that's, that would be new and vacant. On the spending side, on other services, you'll see a $55,000 proposed increase. And Tashara will go through that, I'm sure, with her presentation on what that $55,000 would be intended for. It would bring her total spending up to $80,000. It would bring her total spending for other services up to $80,000. Total spending in the FY 26 proposed mayor's budget is $318,000. So I misspoke, and I apologize for that. Total spending for MIRA and the mayor's proposed budget is $318,000. That's going from, $236,000. A large majority of that is due to a $55,000 increase in the other services line, and that's where I'm sure Tashara will say what that's about in her presentation.
Okay, you know, any questions on this, Frank, at this point?
Okay, so, what slide is that? So we'll start with the organizational chart, am I correct?
Sure.
Alright, so, reentry caseworker, which is vacant, so to my knowledge, MIRA was to have 2.5 staff, not including myself. Right now, I am the case manager, the reentry caseworker, the director for the program. And I've been that person for about a year. It's getting done, but it could get done more effectively. We really need to be done more effectively to capture our data. So an outreach coordinator, peer support specialist, we got a minus, on this slide, this grant writer should not have been here, and neither should the peer support specialist. So I sent you guys a non-edited slide, pardon me for that. Right now.
Go to the next one.
All
Just
right,
tell me when you want the next one.
All right, so the breakdown, so the workshops that would be conducted are, it should have been restorative, hold on 1 minute, I'm sorry. We have parting workshops, entrepreneurship workshops, OSHA 30 workshops, restorative voting rights workshops, and financial literacy. We don't have digital marketing yet, but we will have digital marketing. 75 plus individuals assisted with fingerprinting and parting applications. 100 plus bus passes have been distributed. 150 returning citizens served within the last months. 50 emergency housing supports provided, 30 plus employed, increased voting numbers in Bridgeport. So we make sure they're all registered voters and that they do get out to vote. And sometimes we brought them to the voting polls to vote. The next slide, please. So grant information, active grants, we have the U.S. Conference of Mayors Reentry Grant, and we're pursuing, not the GOJ Second Chance Grant, we didn't make that one. Local Workforce and Development Grant for reentry employment, we're looking to pursue that one. Alright, so, budget change, requesting the funding for new hires, outreach caseworker and peer support, capital need community-based reentry, intake tablets, capital need a makerspace for reentry, entrepreneurship, relocation of funds plus workforce readiness and emergency housing. Requested welcome kits, 10,000, approximately 200 welcome kits. Fingerprinting, approximately 75 participants for $5,625. State IDs and driver's license, approximately 150 participants at $5,500. Bus passes, $9,438. Uber ride share, we reduced that to $2,437. Housing vouchers, $5,000. Reentry workshops, $25,000. Cell phone assistance is $10,000. Work uniforms and clothing vouchers, $7,000 for a grand total of $80,000. Call to action. We respectfully request the city's council support in approving the $80,000 funding request. This investment will enhance public safety, foster economic self-sufficiency, improve outcomes for Bridgeport returning citizens. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
You have a question?
I don't know if it's for the deputy CAO, the CAO, or Tashira, but are we planning to fill in that vacancy that's there?
Yes, we made some personnel adjustments when we came over last year, and we had to move out the admin that was there. And we now have a data analyst position that we are going to borrow from the health department and make a permanent position in MIRA, and it is now up on the city's website. We are collecting resumes and applications currently at the moment.
Thank you. Also, I'm just gonna make a comment. I go visit MIRA when I can. On my other side of the realm, we're trying to work together for the school system, and it's a program that, Ernie and I, it's near and dear to our hearts. We've been supporting it for years, and many of us here. And, to be told at certain points in the year that they're ran out of money is a little disturbing, because this is one of our prime programs in the city, and I'm gonna recommend that we start funding it the way it should be. And if they're running out of money, the CAO needs to be aware of that and start addressing that quickly, because she does service a lot of people.
Well, through the chair, when we came in, we were coming in on the tail end of a lot of inefficiency. And so since Ms. Jackson has been there, she has done less, she's done more with less. And it was beyond our control what was spent, and we could not monitor that because by the time we got there, we were ending the fiscal year. And so when we came in, we were monitoring that much better. And Ms. Jackson, again, has done a phenomenal job with managing and maintaining what was left over. And then we had a crisis with the DOJ grant that we had to come in and salvage with no information and no intel or no blueprint on how to do that. But we managed to be able to save that and the city's reputation based on the lack of effectiveness from the last administration in different departments.
I appreciate that. Actually, it's, the last 3 or 4 directors in there did not do a good job in there, and I'm just gonna make that off public record. Since she's been here, she's elevated the program, and honestly, she's an asset to that program, so thank you for coming over.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me.
Councilman Newton.
Yeah, let me say this. There's a person who runs the Bridgeport Welcoming Center. Let me just tell you the difference between MIRA and the Bridgeport Welcoming Center. We get them when they first come out. We have an interview with them over the phone. So when they come, drop them off at my doorstep, we already know what they need. That's for people who are just coming out. The people who have been out 5 years or 4 years, I can't touch them. They come to the MIRA. I can tell you this, as a person who's in this field, she has turned the MIRA program around 110%. Okay, it's not the laughing stock no more in the city. When they first started, they didn't even have a budget. So we put some money in there to get them going. Because how can you do a job if you don't have no money? She has taken this program to a whole new level. We work together that once she get them employed, she sends them over to us and we get the first and last month's rent paid for them. So as long as they got check stubs and they do the proper stuff we need, we take care of all that. We also assist her in placing people in housing. Once they have those papers, that paperwork, she refers them to me. And we place a lot of them in homes, places to live. So I would ask our CAO, our budget director, that $80,000 ain't a hell of a lot of money. And it's the program, like I said, is the best I've ever seen out of 4 directors. And the reason I like her so much, not because I grew up with her daddy, is because it's about the work, not the show. The other ones was all about show. Who could get on TV and who could beat their chest about saving America. She's not like that. She just wants to get the job done, and we need to give her the staff so that she can do more. Okay, I know there's some people who said, well, we should put them over here with the Welcoming Center. No, you shouldn't. Because if we lose this program, it's a reflection on the mayor who started this program as a returning citizen. So you need to keep it. Let's fund the $80,000 because she showed you what she was going to do with it. And I think it's legit, and I can vouch for her because we've been working closely together in this program with Fred Hodge over at his program. We work as a team. And that's what you need. You need that collaboration part. So $80,000, a hell of a lot of money, but she showed you where she's going to put it to help the clients that need it. So keep up the good work. Thank you. And you have my support.
All right. I'll go to committee member, and then Councilman Spell and Councilwoman Martinez.
And
Yeah, I
Mayor
just want to thank you for the
Mayor-
presentation that you brought, Myra. I just want to say something about, Bridgeport, right? 85% of the people, or 95% of the people in Bridgeport have a criminal record or know somebody who has a criminal record. And I've been doing this work for about 18 years now. And what they call reentry, returning citizens, or individuals who've been impacted by the justice system. And Bridgeport has one of the largest populations of individuals coming back to the city who've been incarcerated. MIRA was a referral center at one time. It went from a referral center to a service provider. And that's very important when a person is coming back home, that they have a place that they could come, where they can get some services to, that eventually can help them become self-sufficient. I've been around and been in her program to where people have seasonal work and went from seasonal work to full-time positions to other agencies coming out of the city. So there's a process that's being made there, that's going through there, that's taking a person from seasonal to full-time to self-sufficiency. And you can't beat that from an individual like myself who's been impacted by the justice system. So I'll be honest with you, 80,000, the program that I run, our annual budget was 250,000.
All right, just 250. That's right.
That's what it was from the state, 250,000. And she's serving the same people that I'm serving for 250,000. Now, we could talk about there's a lot of services in the city, or there ain't a lot of services in the city, but people go where they want to go. And they've been finding out going down to MIRA program, they've been feeling comfortable there, because you gotta understand something. It's not how much you know, it's how much the people care when they go to getting the services that they're gonna provide it. You can have a lot of knowledge about everything, but if you don't have that caring sensitivity to an individual who's coming home, they won't even come to your operation. And one thing about MIRA, it's an open door policy. You don't gotta make a date. Come there. If you come there on your own, she's gonna let you in. You will have an appointment, but you don't have to have an appointment. And that's important in this city. That's important for anybody that's coming home that's been impacted by the justice system. So I just wanted to just say that. I appreciate what's going on with the program. I think the program should continue, and I think we should give it a 250,000 like they're doing my program.
I second.
The whole budget's over $3.
Yeah, that's the whole budget. I'm talking about what she's asking for. Give another 250,000. Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, Reverend Councilmember, committee member first. Yeah, I did, but.
Then we can get rid of them tinted windows, take it out there 200.
That's next week, Rev.
There you go.
I agree with Councilman Hodges 110%, because one thing that only one thing that I like about Jackson is that she know the people that come through that program. You can't tell me how to rob a bank if you never rob one. You know what I mean? So you know, and you have feelings for that, and that's what it all go to, and feeling comfortable.
That's right.
Because living in Bridgeport, very few people, and I'm gonna say this, then I'm gonna ask my question. Very few people in Bridgeport I trust. I don't care what you do, whatever. But if you know my plight and you understand what I'm going through, then that's it. And sometimes people have gone through what you went through, they don't understand nothing. They forget about from whence they come. You know what I mean? They forget about one time they was out there on the street. They forget about they have the reason that the kids are the way that they are now, because they the one that helped put them on that street. So I want to say that I think the last time you came before us, I was impressed, and you came with absolutely nothing. And I told you then, and I'm going to tell you now too, if these people in Bridgeport try to fool with you, let me know, okay? I'll be right there. So, because, you know, it's hard to keep good people in Bridgeport. You know, I don't know what it is. It's like a barrel of crab. You know, as soon as one get to the top, they pull that one down, you know. So,
Preach!
and
I'm sorry, I thought it was at
honey,
church.
I'll preach anytime. Wake me up at 12 o'clock at night, and I still be preaching. The fact of the matter is that I'm glad that you are still there, and you are doing a great job. And I don't know what nobody else gonna vote for, but I'm gonna vote for that $80,000. I'm gonna vote for it. Now, you mentioned the grants that was up there.
Yeah.
You apply for grants?
So,
Have you gotten
the
any?
DOJ grant, the DOJ grant, right? That was a grant that was here before. I actually went to DC and met with the grant, with the DOJ. They invited us to come there, with Christine and I. We went there and they wanted us to go for this grant so bad. So during that time, the physical budget paperwork was due. That was my first time doing all that. It took away so much time that I didn't finish that grant and deadline to the intent for it. I didn't get it done in enough time. It was 20 pages. I did get it done, but not in enough time to submit it. So, but they were in support of it. And so what I do right now is we continue to have family reunification events because that's part of the grant, and we continue to serve families with children of parents who are incarcerated. And I'm working on a journal that I want to go into the prison so they can be able to communicate better with each other with a therapist, with Christine. And so that's why we didn't make it in time for that grant. That's the only reason why, but I'm ready for it for next year.
Is it possible that you could work with the grant department, huh?
Through the chair. The reason why she missed the deadline is because we were closing out the previous DOJ grant, working with Central Grants. And that was very time consuming, and there was a lot of things that we could not figure out because we weren't there when it was initiated, and we weren't in the compliance piece of it. And the Central Grants Department did run it up to the CEO's office at the time, and she sounded the alarm, and nobody responded to her complaints.
Yeah, I wasn't complaining about she missed the deadline. I just want to get her some help what she needed. The last thing that I would like to say is, because you know, when you was talking, it seemed to me like you wear 5 hats. Like me, you know, and you enjoy all of it, so that's why they're gonna be successful. Any of those positions that you do, because I mean, one person can only do just so much, and you're doing a great job. I admit that, but if there's a way that we can put some of those positions out there so that you could have the people that you need to be successful, because we can get burnt out real fast.
So one is out, right, and the other one is a 1.5. So one of the ideas I had is for if it's a full-time person, I can get them at half the price. But I can discuss that later, right?
Okay.
I can get them. Okay, so actually, if the person is so right now, I was a public ally, right? So now they welcome me back to be on their advisory board. And they charged this year should be about $20,000 for a 40-hour person to be full-time. And so if I was to collaborate with public allies, they would pay half and I would pay half for MIRA. And I would have a full-time person that's qualified to do the work as a community outreach person there, or reentry outreach support. I would really get that staff with $20,000. So we'll save the city more than half of that. So that's one way. The other person, I think the city would just pay for. I don't want to get 2 allies really, because I know on every one Friday a month they're away, and I need somebody there to be most of the time. And I don't want to keep the interns all the time, because they should be learning what's in their field as opposed to being in the office filing papers and things like that. I don't believe in having an intern doing that kind of work when they're not in school to be administrative assistants or clerks. Actually, they should be out in the community learning firsthand on their field. And that's what I do. I take my interns out to the groups that I do, the women's groups that I do, the other groups that I do, anything else, they come with us. So they get a full experience.
Okay, well, Mr. G,
but they put more money in the budget for my staff, absolutely.
If there's a way that we could put some of those positions budget-wise, or ask for money for some of those positions that she's talking about, she's not asking for, but she's talking about, if there's any way that we can put it out there, maybe not in this budget, but somewhere during the year, you know, we can talk about some of those positions, one of those positions, especially the one that's gonna benefit her the most in the program.
Yes, ma'am. You guys can put it in there right now.
Huh?
You guys can put it in there right now.
Okay, all right.
You all have the power of the pen and the purse, and we'll gladly take whatever positions that you want to add to the department.
And you know I love the poor purse, huh? Okay, that's all I have to say. That's just what I thought, Mr. Chair. Okay.
You all set?
Sorry, I'm back, huh?
No. Absolutely. So we've got in this order Councilwoman Spell, Martinez, and Tullamore.
So first and foremost, last year this time, you came in working off of someone else's vision, and you came back to the table on your own. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
And awesome work. I hope we get to hear the young people that you've been working with before you walk out this door tonight. What I'm gonna say is I agree with my counterparts. In regards to your budget, I honestly think y'all need to go back to the table, edit, and add more money because you need more help. Especially when you're talking about a case manager, one person doing 5 positions. Bridgeport has a lot of reentry. They need the support on all levels, from the children to the families to the actual person who was in jail. And so I'm just putting it out there. I totally agree about adding additional funds. I don't think just 300 is good enough. I'm gonna be honest with you. There are programs that run $1 million projects and budgets. But I'm not saying that we have $1 million, but I'm saying that compared to some other offices, this is where we get people. This is how the community sees that you are actually invested. This looks good for the city, to be honest with you, because you're a program within the city and you're actually reaching the people. And I would also say collaboration. You know, the women incarcerated program, that's a phenomenal program that sisters working together. You also have the health department, what's also would be a great collaboration when it comes to like those extra resources and kind of working together. That's my comment. I really do believe that the budget, just like last year, you said you run up and come back with something. I like meat. I think you need to add some more dollar signs to it. I'm just being honest. If we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this right. And coming out, this is your first year, we should start right with you fully funded.
Thank you. We're gonna be collaborating with someone in New York City. They're starting a cable business for Optimum, and they will hire our guys at $800 to $1,500 a week. They will fully train them as long as they have licenses. They cannot have a robbery charge or a larceny charge, depends on how long ago the charge was. And they also want to train people to have their own businesses for that. So I'm very entrepreneurial. I'm very, very entrepreneurial. So I spoke with this young man today. He called me about 2 weeks ago and I couldn't get back to him, but I had a little downtime before coming here and I did speak with him. So he's gonna come to, he lives in, I think it's Brooklyn. Yeah, and he's gonna come here to meet with me and to talk about that. And I wanna do a social enterprise for MIRA. MIRA needs that. Our guys have to be gainfully employed. They're not making enough money to take care of their children. They're just not. And here's 2 guys right here. He's the one that was a city employee as seasonal, and he's now an employee at Viking Construction. So what we did was when we had our OSHA 30 class, I took the applications of our guys and I went to Viking Construction. I said, we're gonna do a face-to-face, old-fashioned, forge a relationship. And we forged a relationship, and he called within a week, and he was employed. And so I vet the guys before they come near, so to make it a little bit easier, And he's employed. Matt DeCervo called me last summer, and we were usually on Fridays. You don't want to take long calls on Fridays, but everything in me was like his charge is kind of like it's a white collar charge. I'm like, well, let me call him. He wasn't from Bridgeport either. I called him. We were on the phone. We cried and we prayed together. And I told Matt he was going to be my brother. I said, when are you going to say that I'm your sister? And Matt can speak on the rest about what happened with him.
So, like she said, I'm from here. I was born here. But you know, I live up in Middletown, and I went through a very rough time when I had reached out to her. I reached out to a lot of people, and she was the one that called me back. And it was the first time in a very long time that I felt, I didn't know if she can help me, but I felt somebody actually cared. Somebody listened to me, she didn't judge me. I heard a lot of people in this room talk about how, you know, she cares, she understands, she's in it. I'm in that office, you know, a couple of days a week, I help out. She set me up with, you know, several other people that I've met. You know, I'm working with her on the pardon program, which is not anything that I thought that
He's an
I used to be an attorney. So it wasn't really anything that I thought that I would ever work with again. And did that, and it kind of opened my eyes to a lot of different possibilities. And in the wake of that too, you know, on top of that, I'm the assistant general manager at a hotel up in Middletown now too. You know, I have 2 young kids. I have, you know, they're 7 and 4. So it's just living out there, like, I need a job. Like, I don't need a part-time job. I need, you know, I need to make my way. I'm on my own. And, you know, she's helped me in a lot of different ways, so.
Beautiful, man, beautiful.
And Jason.
Yes, so my story with MIRA is amazing. I went to job fairs at Housatonic. I met with more people with employment than this room. I was qualified for probably 75% of them. I filled out, I did every application online, and nobody called me back. And everybody can attest to how it goes in the job field. They call you, they don't, but you stay happy that you filled it out. You feeling like you got the job without not having it. But nobody called me, and everybody was telling me about MIRA. A lot of the big brothers in my life was telling me about MIRA. And I was like kind of second guessing after everything that I went through. You know, well, it's gonna be another situation. You go to and they take all your information, you give up all your information, and then it's still no call. But I went to MIRA and I met sister, and she helped me. She took all my information like everybody else, said that she was going to meet with the employers, which was different. She would meet with them directly, and she would call me back. And it seemed like 3 days I was on a site doing what I do best. But I went to school for 2003, graduating from Apex Technical, New York State certified welder, and laborer, which means that you just skilled in whatever they need you to do on a construction site or anywhere else. And I'm working for Viking Construction right there, what they call the New Village. Right there. Any day y'all drive through there, y'all see me with a hard hat on. Building them buildings up, which is beautiful because I always know that I took part in the development of those buildings. No matter how old I am, long as those buildings are standing there, I can show my grandkids, my daughters. That's, you know, I was there. You know, mixing cement, welding, whatever it took to do, you know, to participate in that building. And the company that I work for, Viking Construction, they have contracts all over the state of Connecticut. So as long as I get up every morning, the grace of my Creator, I'll be working. Rather it's Norwalk, Stanford, New Haven, Hartford, wherever the location sends me. You know, and I give thanks to my sister here, to Shara, because she kept her word, and I know she's busy because every time I come in there, it's no staff in there, but she's in there. So it's staff in there because she's a staff, and she's taking calls, and she's trying to, you know, handle everybody, and it's overwhelming because how she does it, you know, she does it, but it's overwhelming because you have people with needs. I had needs. You know, it's people worse situations than me. It was people that came home from the system and was looking for jobs while I was in the system and still don't have employment. You know, but she also helps you get what you need to get the job as well. If I needed anything to be qualified for that position, she had the access to help me to get it. And I was blessed to have the skills where I could just, when she talked to the people, this gentleman is ready. But if I wasn't ready, she still would have made sure that I had an OSHA 30 class or SST card or whatever I needed, even if I needed transportation to get to the employment. So.
Very good.
I would just like to say, because I work in the office with her as a contract person. And just to witness, see, MIRA success is rooted in compassion.
That's right.
That's why it's being successful now. Because you have somebody that's cared and not even looking at the dollars, but was looking at the people first. I've witnessed what she had done. I witnessed people call her on the phone one day, which gave me a highly different level of respect for her, because a sister called her one day and was just cussing her out, was upset. She trying to help her, but I guess she think it's not fast enough, and she's still trying to explain to her. But and I'm saying, why don't you just hang up, right? How you taking all that abuse? And it was, but she took it, and that's what I have a whole different level. I'm talking about it was extreme abuse, but she was still trying to say that the girl is going through something. She got some problems. I'm still trying to help her. So I see the success in MIRA because we have a person in there who cares and is compassionate about the people, and she always trying to figure out a way to try to save the city money and providing services. Always, you know, with the OSHA program. She negotiated with the brother, Roger. They brought the program here for 2 weeks. People got in training. And even got free lunch, breakfast and lunch. That coffee and donuts and them turkey sandwiches was on the money. And no, but that's why, like, if you want somebody, that's why it's good to support this program, because you have someone there who, even if she don't have the resources, she tries to make a way to get things done, and I witnessed that. Okay.
Councilor Martinez, and then Kelly.
I have a book, is that okay? We got time to read a story? So let me start off by saying that, Tashira Jackson is my best friend, and we've been friends for over 35 plus years. So congratulations, I am overly proud of her. And let me correct my partner from the 139th district. This program was not started by the mayor. It was initiated by Lewis Reed, myself, and 2 Caucasian women that came here from Washington, D.C. in 2015 when the mayor first won his election into office. Unfortunately, Lewis Reed was not able to keep this program up to par. We had other individuals who came in that ran this operation who failed. We have had council members who have wanted to disconnect this program, who have disgracefully badmouthed this program. Thankful for Fred Hodges, who fought, Ernie, who fought, myself, who fought to bring Tashira on board, because this program went from having to schedule appointments, and I'm in Largo Norton Government Center every single day, and people will come to that front desk and they will call back there, and if you didn't have an appointment, you were not going back there to see nobody. And as you know, you have to use your badge to get back there, so no one was going back there, which I saw a lot of individuals come in right from getting dropped off before Ernie's program, before his program became a program. these individuals were getting dropped off right to Margaret Morton Government Center, so, I can't speak for incarceration because unfortunately I haven't experienced incarceration, but to see the men and the women come there expecting to see someone and not being able to see someone was very sad. And I witnessed it a lot of times through other department individuals that ran that department. Bus passes, individuals coming for halfway houses, wanting to see somebody just to talk to them, getting a pass and not being able to talk to somebody and having to go back to the halfway house empty-handed. Tashira comes from a background of mental health and addiction and substance abuse. She worked for Greater Bridgeport Mental Health for almost 30 years, so she has that feel of knowing what it is to deal with individuals who are suffering, not just from being released from incarceration, but mentally, no support at home, no support in the community, and just relying on this program and to get to where they want to get to. She has initiated, and I'm gonna give Fred credit because Fred is very instrumental in being involved with helping her, being able to get valid identifications through Department of Motor Vehicle. That was something that apparently was supposed to be done before through the other department heads. They never succeeded with that. She has brought that now to a full blossom because these Bridgeport IDs are truly not valid. You can't even open a bank account with those IDs. So for someone to come home and the only ID they have is the ID that they had to show every time they walked the halls while they was incarcerated is a slap in the face to them. So to Tashira, congratulations for building that relationship with Department of Motor Vehicles because it was you that generated that. Now the city has a connection. I don't know if that contract has been signed yet, but if it hasn't, it's on its way to. She's working with pardons now. Not only is she working with individuals to do the pardons, but she's working with individuals who are able to provide the pardons for free. Whereas she tried to connect with someone, but the individual who she tried to connect with was gonna rob these individuals who were just coming home from incarceration who had nothing in their pocket. I mean, they can't even flip over a penny. So she's built that relationship. She sets up groups. I've never seen the conference room at Margaret Morton Government Center being utilized as much as she utilizes it. I mean, for 2 consecutive weeks, she ran classes out of there. She ran groups out of there. And let me just say this for the record, and I'm not bragging because she's my friend. I'm bragging because I witness this every single day. And I'm not gonna leave Brother Hassan out because he comes out of that back office and he's intaking and he's having conversations. And I can't even share with you all the people, the feelings, the emotions, the distraction, the depression of individuals that come there to want to speak to somebody. And if she's on the phone, Brother Hassan comes out. If Brother Hassan is tied up, I mean, I've seen him with 3 people at his desk at one time. So to say that she's only asking for $80,000, if I had it, I would put it on this table. I got a credit card. But if I had the $80,000, I would put it on this table because this department deserves more than $80,000 because she's flipping this city of Bridgeport around. Forget about the department, just the individuals who are coming through those doors is amazing. And we're not just talking about men, we're talking about women. And I witnessed one female who came in there under the influence and she was so disrespectful. And Tashira, and this was in person, Tashira, by the time she took her back there and brought her back out, she was a whole new person. She was a whole new person. So I have to say, you do need the help. You need more than the help because I I don't wanna see you get burnt out.
That's right.
And I don't wanna see you have to take some time off, because if you're not in that office and Brother Hassan is not in that office, there'll be no MIRA.
That's right.
There will be no MIRA, because I have not seen MIRA run as efficient, as effective, as stable, as consistent, and as productive since you walked in that door.
Thank you. I feel supported, well, the CAO's office, 100%. They support me. They know that I'm a visionary, and they allow me to do my work. They really allow me to do my work, and I feel very supported, with who's over our department, 100%.
So, that's it. Don't say all right.
I said, all right, that's good.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for allowing me to speak.
You know, I mean, with everything that's been said about Ms. Jackson, I don't think there's much more that we can say or much more that she should be doing without the help and without the funds that she needs, you know. I think that is very important, that when we have a strong individual in the city here of Bridgeport that is doing the job and that can get the job done, that we as council people do everything we can to keep that person here. We gotta stop losing the good and trying to look for good somewhere else when we already got it. If we got it here, we need to put protection on that. We need to do whatever that we can to make sure that her passage here in the city of Bridgeport is something that continues. Compassion, as Lyle has said, is something that he has seen, and something that Nita has seen, something that Hodges and Ernie and everyone else here has seen. So now we gotta try to think and find out how we can get her more money. How can there more money come to this program, MIRA? So I was just sitting here and I was thinking, you know, I'm Bridgeport, New Yorker, Bridgeport, you know, but they had a program there in New York. They have a program there in New York and Jersey and also in Philly. And it started up with Ready, Willing, and Able. And it started up with people coming from out of prison. And what they did, they helped them to get jobs, they helped them to get housing, they helped them to do everything that they needed to do. And when they got their jobs, the money that they earned, if they earned $5,000 when they got ready to lead the program, the organization, Ready, Willing, and Able, gave them $5,000 on top of that, which led them to leave out of there with 10. If they earned $20,000, they put money on top of that, because it was about trying to rebuild people's lives, to get them back home to their family. So this program, like I said, was called Ready, Willing, and Able. But the foundation that helped them to get these funds is called the DOE, D-O-E Foundation. You know, so I haven't looked them up in a while, but if you can look them up, they will help to fund you to do some of the things that you're doing. And this is match money. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mean like they gonna match your money. I mean, they gonna give you money so you can match their money that they earn. You know, and it's a great foundation. So would you please look that up and see if it's still going, so you can see if you can generate something here for Bridgeport. You know, and one other thing that I just want to say to you, don't overwhelm yourself. You know, don't overwhelm yourself. I know how that can be. When I was out in the working world, I was working 12 hours a day, you know, 84 hours a week. And I overwhelmed myself. My body, I wore it out, you know, where I couldn't even tie my shoes. You know, and I had to walk around with an oxygen tank, you know. So it took me a long time to get my life back together where I didn't need these things, you know. But I thought I had to do everything, you know. Everything that you got to do is get the assistance that you need so that you can do. And I just wanted to say that to you.
Thank you.
And kudos up to you for that. You know, keep on doing, you know. 100 plus is better than a minus. You know, so, you know, keep doing it and look up that Dole Foundation, DOE.
I did over the summer, I wasn't able to find it, but I didn't have much time, but I'll still continue to look and try to find it.
Look it up.
Oh, you sent it? Oh, cool. Okay, so it was sent to me.
Yeah, I think I might have told you.
But somebody just sent it to me.
Yeah, but please try to find that and
Will
see
do.
how you can expand the horizons here for the city of Bridgeport.
Absolutely.
That's it, that's it.
All right, we'll go to Councilwoman Herring, Councilman Hodges. I got one question, and then we'll.
You know, the other services on this, it's not only for the people that are coming home, it's for their families. I was honored enough, she invited me to an event she had a few weeks ago, and she brought parents and their children to the cabaret. It was phenomenal, even though it was a smaller group, they had their kids there, they were interacting, she fed them, and she was able to get donations to get that done. So that, if you can connect the people coming home with their families, that's the hugest thing in the world. And that's why the component that I work in my job, we're collaborating for next year, so we're gonna have programs for next year together. So that's gonna be organized in the summertime, but you have to deal with the families, because they're not the only ones. You know, the people coming home are not the only ones that suffer, those poor kids suffer too. So bringing them together is huge, huge.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to correct something. You were saying that when I said $284,000 was the budget for family reentry, that was just for services. The whole budget was 1.5 million. So when I say 284,000 just for services, that's what I'm saying that she needs. I know she won't get it. But I'm just saying, for service, yeah, I didn't want you to think, because you said it was 316. Yeah, well, ours is 1.5 million, so the 80,000 that she's asking for, what I'm saying, is really a drop in the bucket of what the services that she can provide, you know what I mean? So
Fred Hodges
I really think it should be
Yes.
125.
Thank you.
He had a black car.
I'm just saying, I had to say that.
Oh, I'm sorry, are you all set?
I'm all set.
I mean, look, there's nothing I can really say that hasn't been covered already. As you can see, this department deserves the gold star for most improved. Every year, I used to hide behind my budget book when this department would come here, and, I mean, you could see the progress, so, and that's really a testament to Jashira. And again, I will, and this is a theme this year, but thank the council and say that we listened to you. This action was the result of the council expressing serious concerns about how this department was going, so I appreciate that. As for the budget request, and I'm trying to make this more general about the budget too, because I saw many of you floating around the building today, as I often do. And there were other departments and ideas that came up. You'll notice that Frank funded this extra $55,000, and he's not an easy gatekeeper to get past. But it's because Tashira came with a plan and said, this is how I'm gonna spend the money, and it is impactful, and she's really doing a great job. And as you can see, there's a breakdown, and the money's gonna be spent on real services for people that are gonna be helped, okay? Where you see increases in the budget, that's because usually they've been vetted by our office, his office and stuff, and they're in here. I know that the council's gonna make changes to this budget, and you know that I always support those changes. I usually think your budget is better than the mayor's. But you can't fund every single request that everyone's asking for. We're not, you know what I mean? And so I encourage you to be cautious in throwing things out. I think this is a well-deserved increase in the budget. We'll certainly vet other proposals that you have, especially if we get good bang for the buck. We'll do that, and if we think it's worth it, we'll come back to you and ask for that. But I know that there's some other proposals from other departments to try to increase personnel and stuff. Hell, you can give us all the personnel you want, but at the end of the day, we still need to balance the budget. We're responsible both for the operations of our city departments and to make sure at the end of the day we end in the black.
So Tom, are you telling us you increase the budget 55, that y'all can't find another 30?
I'll let you we'll talk about that offline. No, and listen, I don't mean to make it about this particular department, but I just want you to know that there are increases in this budget for certain departments and for certain things, like this 55,000, because we thought it was well deserved. We can't give everything to every department that really needs it, you know.
I'm just gonna bring back to a budget question. And you mentioned the DOJ grant, and again, you know, I'll let nonsense going on
Right.
in DC. Have you heard anything about what's gonna hold up or not hold up?
We didn't make the deadline because of what was going on
Mhm.
with the previous DOJ grant.
Yeah,
So that's why we didn't make it in time to submit our intent for it.
for,
Yes.
oh, okay, so
But-
for 26, you weren't able to?
No, but we're not gonna
Okay,
lose the
I thought we
relationship
were
with
working
them.
backwards.
The relationship
Okay.
with the DOJ,
Yeah,
they love us despite
Okay.
everything that was going on. They actually love the women involved, that they love us because I'm still doing the same family unification, whether we have the money or not. I'm still carrying that
Okay.
on. So they
so
love us.
you're gonna try to keep tabs on future opportunities.
But the future of those grants, you know, is
Right.
uncertain.
That's what I'm really getting at.
Yes, I
Right.
understand the question.
So I didn't know if you had any
Yeah,
word.
we don't
feedback.
have any insight into that, and we won't. And
Yeah.
whatever the administration feels like when they wake up tomorrow morning is what we're gonna deal with.
Right.
And we'll deal with it as it comes.
Yeah, okay, I just, we hear a whole lot of things, I didn't know if you heard something specific.
But I didn't drop the services because of, there's some services obviously I can't continue, but I still work on getting, as you should do at a nonprofit, is getting in-kind donations and doing fundraising. I haven't yet had the time to do fundraising, but right now I've been collaborating with other agencies that could help me, and also, I'm meeting people in Bridgeport, but I'm from Bridgeport, right? And, right, so, and I'm from Bridgeport, but you gotta be kind to people, right? So if I'm being myself, when I go out there and meet them, they're happy to give us some food. I'm not gonna burn them for it, keep on asking the same person, but that's how we've been able to do things.
I'm sorry, I lost track of
I
your
wouldn't,
years,
I
that's all.
wouldn't count on the federal government, they're more interested in locking people up than letting.
Well, I was there, I understand.
I wouldn't even, but just to say to you that this is the kind of programs that we need. You already said it already, and you've proven your point, that we see the work, we see what's happening, we can touch it.
I like tangible results, I do, I'm results driven, so.
All right.
All right, can I get
Thank
a,
you.
so move,
Second, I need a second.
second.
Second, third,
All
fourth,
in favor?
fifth.
Aye.
Y'all supposed, if you're gonna keep people here this late, y'all supposed to have some type of food around here.